Gonna just wait for some of you to tune in. Good afternoon, Instagram. Good afternoon, Facebook and YouTube. I'm late on live today. I've had a busy day, but I promised you guys that I was gonna come on live today. So here I am. I'm just gonna wait for some of you guys to trickle in before I get started. Today's topic is a really good topic. So if you're in a marriage-based situation or you're looking to petition for your spouse, this is one to watch. This is one to share with your friends or family members who are you know, in this situation, because I think it's going to be really helpful. If this is your first time here, I would love for you to comment and let me know it's your first time. Let me know where you're tuning in from, even if it's not your first time, so I can give you a shout out. My name is Aisha Chidole, and I'm an immigration lawyer. I represent clients all over the United States with their family immigration matter. Your location is not a problem, but our headquarters is here in Atlanta, and we have an office in Orlando, Florida area. But again, your location is not a problem. Hi, Hernicomalicious. Welcome. We hope you stay. Hi, Sex Jan in Connecticut and Missy Boo in Florida. Tanya from Ghana, hello. Thank you so much for tuning in. And Cherry from Georgia, first timer. Jeffrey from Texas, first timer. Thank you. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Cleopatra. Um, you know, Emmy Lash from Yemi. Hello. Okay, I'm going to answer Sandra's question real quick, and then I'm going to talk about what I came here to talk about today. So Sandra on Facebook says, hi, Aisha. You're looking lovely today. My question is, if you get divorced, can you go back and marry the same person if you want? The question of a friend of mine, she got divorced and she wanted to know. Well, the answer is that it depends. It depends on the circumstance or what it is. So if you're saying that you just married somebody and then you go back with that person, not because of filing or anything like that, yes, you can remarry whoever you want to marry. However, if you were married to someone and you got divorced and then you married somebody else and then got a green card, divorced that person, and then tried to remarry the other person, you're going to be flagged for marriage fraud. So, as long as you're aware of that and you're able to prove that it's not a marriage fraud, then, approach cautiously. So today I want to talk about proving your marriage is real. People often ask me, well, what is a bona fide marriage? And the simple answer is that your marriage is real, that you didn't enter your marriage because of immigration, but because you truly love this person and you and this person intended to have a life together. That's why you entered your marriage. A lot of people, when I say, do you have any bona fides or anything to prove your marriage is real? People always say to me, well, I have my marriage certificate. Your marriage certificate does not prove your marriage is real. It just proves that there was an actual legal wedding that took place, but it doesn't prove that the marriage is real. So I sort of want to go over the requirements, and I just put my notes together just because it's a lot, so I can really give you guys some ideas. Because somebody asked me to talk about this last week. That's why I'm talking about it. If there's ever anything that you want me to talk about specifically, like a topic, and I think it will be beneficial to everybody else, you can put it in the comments, like what topic you want me to talk about next, and I will try and allocate some time to talk about it. So in order for you to get a green card, you have to show you have a qualifying relationship. And a qualifying relationship is a legal marriage that was entered into good faith. First things first, your marriage has to be legal, meaning if you were divorced before or you were married before, you have to make sure that that divorce is actually a valid divorce. Because in the United States, polygamy is illegal, it's not accepted. So, if you marry somebody else but did not completely get divorced, your marriage will not be considered as a legal marriage. So you want to make sure you have a divorce decree. If your spouse passed away, you want to make sure that you have a death decree that lists you as a surviving spouse. Okay? And then same thing goes for your spouse. You want to make sure that your spouse has their own divorce decree and then their own, proof that they've terminated all marriages. Then the next thing, and this is the meat of um, immigration petitions for marriage, is good faith, proving that your marriage was entered into in good conscious faith. So, one thing that I found helpful whenever you can, especially if you're someone that's doing like an I-130 application and you're not, and your consular processing, is that an affidavit from you personally describing how you and your spouse met and your relationship. Those are usually good, and we usually like to send those out, like when we're doing for consular process and a client who has their spouse, excuse me, in a different country. Letters from friends and family. So if you have friends and family and they know that your marriage is a good faith marriage, they've met you and your spouse, they've been in relation, they've basically mingled with you guys as a family friend or whatever it is, having them write an affidavit for you is very helpful. I do want to caution you guys because sometimes we see generic applications where, I mean, not applications, affidavits where I have to say to the client, this is not a good enough affidavit. So if they cannot change the affidavit, I'd rather not send the affidavit. What I mean generically, somebody goes online and just pulls out a template and just copies verbatim and signs it, or the person just has the same all the people writing your affidavits have the exact same template, like all their stories are exactly the same. Oh, they have a perfect marriage and I anticipate that their marriage is going to last a lifetime. Those are generic, so you don't want to send those. The types of affidavit you want to send is, you want to make sure that those people touch on, one, how they know you and your spouse. How do they know you and your spouse? How did they meet you? Have they ever socialized or interacted with you guys? Hello, guys. Let me just put these things on mute. I tell you, my people ping me all the time. So you guys see that I'm always very busy. It's not that how do I put this on mute? Okay, it's a mute. Okay. What was I saying? Now I lost my train. Yeah, so that they know you. How do they know you? How have you guys interacted? What have you observed about them as a couple? Have they ever shared anything about their future goals? Do they want to buy a house? This is where we hung out. The more details you share, the better for your case. You don't want to be vague when it comes to when you're doing like affidavits. Basically, they want like real life examples. So an affidavit that just says, "Oh, I know Janet and John. I went to their wedding, and we've hung out a couple of times. And I think they have a wonderful marriage, and I wish them all the best." That is very generic. So to me, and what I've seen as a successful affidavit is an affidavit that says, "Oh, I know Jane and John. I met John. I grew up with John, went to high school together at XXX high school. And I remember the first day he told me about Janet and how amazing she was. I attended her wedding, or unfortunately, I couldn't attend the wedding because of COVID or whatever the reason might have been. But, I've traveled down to see them in Florida, and, we actually hung out at Disney or Universal Studios. And I'm just using this as an example. But you see how we're getting into details. One of the things that I know the couple would love is to have children very early on in their relationship. And, me and my wife are really rooting for them. And we really hope that, they stick it through, because we know that the beginning stages of marriage is not easy, but they're a great couple, and we hope that USCIS will consider giving them their green card. So that's an example of a more detailed affidavit. Another good proof of proving your marriage is pictures, photographs. I've heard some people say that they've spoken to other lawyers who don't send photographs, and I would say this. I never like to put down any other lawyer, because Everybody has the way they do their stuff. So when I come, on this live and I talk, I am only specifically speaking about how we do things here at the Chidolia Law Firm, what has been successful for us and our clients, I feel pretty proud of the track record that we have, in getting a lot of our clients approved. So I always like to send certain types of photographs. Now, if you had a court wedding and I asked you for pictures and you send me like 5 pictures and all of them are different variations of you kissing or hugging your spouse with justice of the peace. In that case, those pictures are not helpful for your case. However, if you have pictures doing life with your spouse, meaning when you guys traveled, when you guys went on a boat cruise, when you guys went to go hang out for Thanksgiving at a family member's house, when you guys went Halloween pumpkin picking, I'm just using random examples. And there are people in it, in the picture, like other friends or other family members. Those are meaningful pictures, and you always want to label pictures or give an explanation of what pictures are and who are the people in the pictures, because those help you. Someone says, can you save this live? I will save the live because I know it's very helpful, because those help you to show that, one, your relationship, you're doing life together. You're not holed up in a room, just not documenting your life. You're living your life. And part of living your life as a married couple means that there are other friends or family members that are going to know that you're married. And I want to make a specific note about social media. I know that I did a series on red flags a couple of weeks ago, and a lot of people were hot and bothered about me talking about lack of social media being a red flag. And what I've also realized as somebody who's in social media is that a lot of people take some words without listening to the complete story of what you're saying and start writing comments without actually hearing what it is that is being said, or find something that's triggering because they themselves are guilty of that, and then they think you're giving them a personal attack. So this is what I'm talking about when I speak about social media. You are entitled to not have social media. You do not have to have social media. If you don't want to have social media, that is fine. I will tell you, when I got married, I got off social media completely. When I had my babies, I got off social media completely. When I started my business, I knew I had to get on social media because that's how people would find me. So this is the same situation in the immigration world. What I was saying is that if you do have social media, these are for the people that do. Again, let me repeat, I am not saying that if you don't have social media, you're going to get denied. I am saying that if you do have social media and you are married, USCIS is going to be looking to see certain things, one, on your social media, and if it is contrary to what you have in your application. Two, sometimes social media is what saves you from a denial versus an approval. I will use the same exact example that I use in that case. I had a client who came to me. This client came to me because they had received a notice of intent to deny, because the officer did not find it plausible. There were so many different discrepancies, but the officer did not find it plausible how this person who was French speaking and this African American woman could understand each other and truly have a legitimate relationship. This couple had been married for 4 years. When I spoke to him, I don't speak French. I had a translator translating to me. And every time I would say, I just need something. You need to just give me something, right? You need to just give me something to hold on to so that I know that we have something, to push forward this case, I was like, do you have this? No. Do you have this? No. Do you have this? No. Everything was no. So there were so many discrepancies in their testimony. And, I was just like, oh my gosh, where do I start? I literally did not want to take this case, but this guy was relentless. Please, Aisha, I am begging you. I am begging you, like I know you can get this for me. I know you can do it for me. Sometimes I just go based on conviction and the sincerity of some people. So I said, okay. So we start this, and I remember showing it to one of my other associate attorneys, and they too just could like, how are we going to do this? And I said, do you have social media? And he said, yes. I said, is your wife on your social media? He said, yes, I've posted stuff about my wife before on social media. He said, as a matter, I said, can you show me what you've posted? So he sent me a screenshot, and it was just like a screenshot on their wedding day. They went back to their home country to do like a traditional wedding, and people were commenting. He said, as a matter of fact, Aisha, I trust you. Here's my username and my password. Log into, I'm not telling you to go give that to your lawyers or whatever it is. So don't say that I'm telling you that, but I'm just telling you what happened for this client. Can you just log in and look through my social media and see if there's anything you can use? And when I tell you that we scoured his social media and we were able to find at least 55 photographs of different pictures of him and his wife doing life with over 100 comments, people commenting them every year of the anniversary, doing things together. And this person, if we didn't push to say, okay, do you have this? Do you have this? We would not have seen this, and he wouldn't have known that those were good evidence. Why do you think that's important? It's important because when you put out there to the world at large that this is my spouse, it means that you're not hiding this marriage. I hope you guys are understanding what I'm saying. If you're understanding what I'm saying, put like a hallelujah hands or whatever. I just need you guys to make sure you guys are understanding what I'm saying. So it's not saying you must go and publicize, but sometimes that is what will save you. And I remember this particular client, the officer called me, like personally, and said to me, I was like, why is he calling me? Because, officers don't normally call, and he said to me, I just wanted to tell you that this was a solid argument and you have me convinced and we're approving your client. And I remember my client and his wife, like they were so happy, and again, this is somebody who would have just given up and just been like, well, I don't have anything, so that's where that screening and advocacy, or being a zealous advocate comes as well. So that's what I mean when I say social media can sometimes save you, where people have seen that you've got a spouse. And I have many more stories, but let me move on. Okay. So, if you have emergency contacts at work, and your spouse is listed, those are helpful to show. If you have health insurance, life insurance, car, dental, and you have your spouse as a beneficiary, those are helpful to show. School records, like if one of you has children and you're listed as somebody who can pick up the kids or as an emergency contact, those are great to show. And then, let's talk about taxes, because I know this is a point of contention for a lot of people. With taxes, there's more leeway before you get your first green card, meaning let's say you get a conditional green card, because if you don't have a social security number and an ITIN, the odds are that, your spouse might not, file jointly, or your spouse might not file, whatever the case may be. Generally, if you've been married, if you marry before November, I'm not a tax expert, but I'm just telling you generally, if you've married before November, it's okay to list your spouse. Like you can file married filing separately. If you don't have your spouse, if your spouse doesn't have an SSN or an ITIN, your taxes is not the end all be all. It is just one aspect that shows your relationship, that shows that you guys are merging your lives financially. USCIS likes to see a lot of financial involvement. And from a level of whose financial involvement is stronger, when the US citizen spouse has the non-immigrant being financially involved in that case, it makes your case stronger. So that's why, I've talked about a red flag before about, when they look at levels of life, like where certain people are, like you're a doctor and maybe you're married to somebody that doesn't have a job, that lives in Section 8 or something like that. And that's not to say love doesn't happen. After all, Pretty Woman is one of my favorite movies with the rich man and a prostitute and, their lives turn around. But they look at that. So if you have a US citizen that's the one working, and making money and has included that immigrant, it's much stronger than if you have the immigrant who's the one busting their behind, and constantly showing they're the one spending the money. And then when you look at what position that person is in life, that can alter their perception of your marriage. So, any other means to show financial entanglement, and what do some of those look like? Having a lease for your rental, wherever you're renting. Even if you're subleasing, get a sublease, ask for receipts, even if it's from a cousin or a friend, have them write receipts every month, when you pay, just so that there's proof that you're paying. Sometimes you're the one that's paying, you might not be paying rent or what do you call it, or whatever, mortgage, but you're paying like utility bills, even though they're not in it. Document that, whether it's via Zelle. When you send Zelle gives you an option to put a note. What is this payment for? March utility bill, March electric bill, January light bill, or whatever it is. But because you want to be able to show proof that you're doing that you're paying that bill as you and your spouse. And then one key one is having joint bank accounts. Let's talk about this. I know some people always say, we don't have a joint bank account because I don't have a social security number and I don't have an ITIN. There are many banks that will allow you to open an account. For example, off the top of my head, Bank of America will allow you to. So, obviously maybe Bank of America is not in all cities, but find whatever bank is in your city that allows you to open an account and open one. And if you can't find a bank, find a credit card that will allow you to list your other spouse, maybe as an authorized user. But let me talk real quick about bank accounts and, caveats related to that. You cannot just send an arbitrary bank account. What do I mean by that? An arbitrary bank account is a bank account that maybe tops 2 or 3 transactions a month. And that account, maybe there's never more than $200. Granted, we can make the argument that it's not everybody that's balling out of control. Some people don't have any money. So, maybe that's all they have in their account. But month over month over month over month, if that is what is showing in your bank account, USCIS will look at it as though you've created that bank account just for the purpose of immigration, but you guys are really, spending your money separately. So, and then for some couples, what they like to do is that they, as spouses, have their own separate account, and then you have a joint account that you use to manage the household bills. So that's something you can do. You create joint bank accounts where you're managing household bills, paying utility or whatever the case may be, or even a savings account. Like, if you're saving for a house, saving for a car, where that one is just kind of like dormant and not touched. When you send bank accounts, if you're only going to send 1 month worth of bank accounts, it's useless. You want to send a few months to really have it hold weight. Okay, all right, let's see. Same thing with property insurance. So if you have renters insurance, mortgage and homeowners insurance, HOA fees, all those things, you can also include that. And then for a lot of people, this is an area that gets a lot of people as well, where they forget to change their addresses, either at their workplace, change their marital status, or change their driver's license. These are all things that you want to do, because one of the first things when you enter USCIS is identification. If your driver's license is showing that you live in, I don't know, Rancho Cucamonga, and then your other spouse lives in LA, it's like, well, you've already opened a line of questioning that you should have avoided. by having two separate addresses on your driver's license. I know ordinarily we as people sometimes are like, well, my driver's license is not expiring. I don't want to change it until it's expiring. But again, this, when I tell you guys about immigration, there are going to be many things that you feel it's unfair and it's not nice, but you got to keep your eye on the price. What is the price here? You're trying to get your green card, so you just play by the rules. This is not a time to be like, to have your sense of justice or whatever it is. If they're saying that they need this to get your green card, make sure that you're doing what you need to do to get your green card. Okay. Same thing. Good things also are like cars. If you have a car together, you purchase a car together. If you have any deeds together, those are also good. Let me see what else. If you have children together, children is great. Provide birth certificates, that identify both mom and dad, or, if you guys adopted as like a same-sex couple or one person had the child, that's fine as long as you're able to document that. Yeah, I know everybody's been asking, can I save this live? I will save this live, don't worry. So, if you have stuff like that, that's good to have as well to show, the proof of your bona fide marriage. So as I said, the list can go on and on, but I hope that this is giving you guys, an idea of really what USCIS is looking for. So when you're thinking about it, you want to think critically. What is organic? What do normal married couples have? How do they live their lives? And that's helpful. And then a point for those of you who don't live together. If you don't live together, and that's what the potential issue is, you want to make sure that you have a really solid reason why you're living together. Like, I've heard some really ridiculous reasons why people are not living together. And the question I have to ask them is, do you want your green card or not? It's very simple. We both live in Orlando. He lives with his friend. I'm living with my aunt. I don't like where they're staying, so I'm not going to live with them. Well, that could cost you your green card. So you want to try to live in marital union with yourself. Okay, so that's kind of my spiel today. I see I have a gazillion questions. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to all of them, but I will try to get to as many as I can. All right, let's see. Let me start from Instagram, and then I'll just, kind of like, oh my goodness, there's just so much questions. Y'all, you guys want me to be here all day today. I'm going to the top so that I can sort of do it in order of receipt. Okay, let's see. Blue for the Bula says, hello, thank you for your service. Thanks, you're welcome. Abby from LA, first time, hey. And Antonio from Massachusetts, Cape Cod. Nice, I've always wanted to visit Cape Cod. Thanks for tuning in. Houston in the house. Ashley says, can I travel to my home country on advance parole while waiting on a valid case? Advance parole basically means a travel permit. So actually, I can't answer your particular question because I don't know what your immigration history is, where you are in the phase of your immigration. But generally, if you have no immigration history, you haven't had an interview, there is no removal proceeding or anything pending with an immigration judge, generally you're free to travel. But this is saying it based on a blank slate. I don't know your personal story, so I can't, without knowing that, I can't personally answer you. But that's the general idea. Jeffrey says, I lost my divorce certificate I did from Nigeria, and right now I'm about to file for citizenship. What do I do? You should get your divorce decree. It's not even something that's negotiable. You should contact somebody in Nigeria if you cannot go to Nigeria yourself, and have them retrieve that for you. And if you got divorced in Nigeria, you want to make sure that it is an authentic divorce, because USCIS is flagging a lot of Nigerian divorce decrees because of lack of authenticity. And, that's something that you will not move forward with citizenship without providing. Question, Cherry says, I'm about to marry a green card man who's eligible for citizenship. Is this advisable? So are you marrying him because of papers, or you're marrying him because you love him? That's the question. If If you're marrying him because you love him, whether he has a green card or citizenship should not matter. If you're asking that, what stage do you marry him where it won't affect your case, it doesn't matter whether you marry him as a green card holder or as a citizen. Just marry him because you love him. He can always file the I-130 for you as a green card holder and then convert it when he becomes a citizen. Or you can wait till he becomes a citizen and then have him just do the adjustment of status along with the I-130. But make sure you're marrying him because you love him and you want to be with that person. Okay, I answered this one already. Samson Akinye says, I applied for VAWA since December of 2021. No prima facie, no RFE. Yeah, so you might want to just follow up just to see what's going on with your case. Okay. Hi, Sarah from YouTube. First time here from Cali. Hey, Cleopatra. I don't think I've seen you live in a long time. Tanya from Brooklyn. And Natalie from Jamaica. Hi, Colleen. Hi, Mamu Duali. Okay, let me answer this one. Tanya said, I've been married for 9 years and I'm now staying in Ghana with my husband. For evidence of our marriage, we were denied previously and I filed an I-130 again in May last year. I don't know if there's a continuation to your question. Yeah, I don't know if there's a continuation to your question. Lene says, I'm a U.S. citizen over the age of 21, seeking to file a green card application for my parents. I was told that if my parents enter the U.S. on a tourist visa, that when we file the application may be denied because of entry on a tourist visa. If this is true, how else would she enter the U.S.? So when you're saying the word she, I'm assuming you're talking about your mother. So if you're a U.S. citizen that's over the age of 21, and your parent entered on a tourist visa, your parent is not going to be denied because they entered on a tourist visa. What it is, and when you say you were told, that's why I would say you guys have to be very careful with who you listen to. Believe it or not, there are many people that might not have status that and you think they have status. And when they see somebody is about to get their status, they find and plant seeds of doubt and lies to them just so they don't have status and they're not above them in terms of their green card place. So be very careful who you talk about your personal business with. That's number one. Number two, when your parent enter into the United States with a visitor's visa, you can do an adjustment of status for them while they're in the United States. Always say, to be on the safe side, wait till they've entered for at least 90 days before you put in the application, but they can stay here while you do the adjustment of status for them because they're immediate family members. And then they won't, once you put in the adjustment, they're not going to be able to travel outside the country until they get a travel permit approved. So you're good. Regina says, if husband moves out, can he still get a green card from his wife? I would need more context to be able to answer. Emilia Emmy Lash says, I have a question. Can clips video of events between couples be compiled as proof as well? So you cannot send videos to USCIS, but you can get some screenshots. So if you have all your evidence is on video, try to get them in screenshot, thank God for phone screenshot formats of whatever moment in the videos you want to capture, and then you can print those pictures out and send it that way. All right. Still a blessing says, I'm married to a US citizen. I'm still undocumented now and I'm in a shelter. What could be my next step? Please keep in mind I have no funds for a lawyer, much less to buy food. Wow, Scylla, I'm so sorry that you're going through that. One of the first things that I would recommend to you is, since you have no money at all to hire a lawyer, is to contact like maybe a legal aid nonprofit organization in your area that handles immigration cases, and maybe since they're a nonprofit, they might be able to take your case for free. Okay. But if you're in a shelter and you're married and you're undocumented, obviously you're most likely with screening, I'm sure there'll be there's a strong chance that you're a valid applicant. So definitely see if you can reach out to a nonprofit legal aid. Missy Boo says, how long, if requested, a FOIA take for? Sometimes you guys, your questions are like off the chain. It says, how long does it take if you request a FOIA? How long does it take, basically? A FOIA, first of all, for those who don't know, is Freedom of Information Act. It means that, you have the freedom to request your documents from the government. Now, the document might choose to redact and cover up some of the things, like cover it or blank it out so you can't see it, especially if it's things that they wrote. However, they still will give you your documents. Those typically take about 60 days, I would say right now. They were taking longer, but they started getting shorter. So like 60 days. Terry Smith says, the greatest lawyer ever. Yes, tell them. Thank you. Ashley, I think I answered your question earlier. G Cream says, how many affidavits do you need? There is no number as to how many affidavits you need. Just as many as you can get is helpful. Okay. Cleopatra has a really good question. She says, but what if your family does not approve of your marriage based on the culture that they're from? This is a very, very good question. Let's even use, for example, a same-sex marriage, right? So in a same-sex marriage, certain cultures, they have a difficult time accepting this. And so because of that, the couple might not share that with that family member. And that is okay. Because remember, when I tell you guys all these things, I'm not saying that if you don't have one or the other, you're going to get denied. I'm just giving you examples of things you can submit to strengthen your case. So it is very plausible and an acceptable explanation that the reason why we don't have as much documentation with this side of the family is because they don't really know, because this is not something that you break to them, by a phone call. Maybe I was waiting to get my green card so I can go home and talk to them about it, or whatever the case may be. And then if you have with the other family, then post that. And if you don't have with your family, that's fine, to be honest. Like, the key thing is just being honest, like these officers, just like you as human beings, you understand when people are being sincere. And it's easy to see that. So the more truthful you are and candid, the better. Yolanda says, hi, the best lawyer on the globe. Thank you. So Jay Maheda says, the I-360 states shows correspondence was received and USCIS is reviewing, but neither I nor my attorney sent anything. So why does it show? And they did not send an RFE required. We filed 8/7/21 a year later. Was this status updated? I don't know, but if you have an attorney, you should be speaking with your attorney about your case, so that they can tell you what's going on. Okay. YouTube Bernie says, still waiting for my EAD C9 with the receipt of 2/7/22. Then we sent another I-765. Does that affect my application? And do we follow the wait time based on the first I-765? So the question is, why did you send two 765s based on the same category? You just sent your work permit in February. You're very much within the timeline. That's just 6 months has just passed. Work permits take anywhere from 5 to 8 months. Granted, we've started seeing some quickness, meaning, we're seeing clients where they're getting your work permits in like 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, and stuff like that, so we don't know that this is going to be the normal trend, but this is a good sign, because before the pandemic, it used to be 4 to 6 months. So that's a good sign, but you should never have sent that one because it's premature to send the second one. They will deny one of them, and most likely the second one. But hopefully you'll get your the one they sent in February soon. All right, let's see what else. Oh, Clubhouse says I'm working nights now, so when you're live is when I'm sleeping. I set my alarm for this. Like, oh, thank you so much. And even if you miss the live, you can always rewatch it. But I guess if you want to ask your question on live, it makes sense. But I appreciate that, and I hope I was able to answer your question. Nomengni says, please, can you apply for VAWA with the pending asylum? Yes, you can. Okay. All right, let me answer some questions on Instagram. I always have to remember I'm on two screens. So yes, for everyone that is typing save this live, I will save the live. Don't worry. Elvis Young says, good day. I filed my VAWA almost 2 years. Still haven't gotten any reply. Only case received. Yeah, schedule a consultation with me. Let's talk about that and see what exactly is going on. So when you say case received, meaning you got a receipt notice, so you didn't get a prima facie, you've not gotten a work permit, travel permit, nothing. Is that what you're saying? Okay, let's see what else. Okay. Phenomenally ambitious says Shidaway Law Firm is the best immigration law firm. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Gabby says, what are some reasons USCIS approves your green card without an interview based on VAWA that you've seen? Honestly, I don't know. They don't give us any reason. I truly don't know. Now that the pandemic is kind of like cooling off, we're not seeing a lot of that. A lot of people are getting their interviews. But honestly, I don't know the reason why they would waive some and not the others. I don't know the method to their madness. Can a joint bank account replace a joint filing? So again, it's not an either or. It can be an any. So if you have one or the other, great. If you have both, great. But one or the other is not going to be the end all be all. Like, you don't need permission to send things that show that your marriage is going in the direction that it should be going. Please, if the I-795, do you mean the I-751 is pending and you get an interview for N-400, does your husband have to go with you? Hernu, the answer is going to depend on if you're filing for citizenship based on being married for 3 years. And if that is, yes. If it's not, then, it doesn't matter. So, we'll need to know how long you've had your green card and, are you filing for citizenship based on 3 years? Next says, can I avoid a Stoke interview after remarrying 6 months after divorce? I can't really tell you the answer to that because USCIS makes a determination of who they're going to give a Stokes interview based on what they have in their application, their immigration history, what USCIS has observed or seen in their background check, what they've observed in the first interview. And then some field offices just target certain communities and just always do a Stokes interview. And for those of you who don't know what a Stokes interview means, a Stokes interview is when USCIS separates you and your spouse, brings one person in, asks you very, very detailed, in-depth questions about your life, records your answer, and then has your other spouse come in and send you out, ask them the same thing, and compare answers to see if you're telling the truth. Okay. Let me see what else. G Cream says, do you need all these documents when you apply or for the interview? No. When you apply, if you don't have all these documents and you're newlywed, then that's fine. It's a continuous, like every immigration application is a continuous application. What I mean by that is today, you could be married this week and then you filed, what do you call it? You filed your, what was it? I just lost my train of thought. Someone just texted me for my kids and just threw me off. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. Okay, so you can file because you just got married 2 weeks ago. And so you're not going to have as much stuff as 12 months from now when they schedule for an interview. So, send what you have when, you submit it. And then as you're continuing to do life over the next 12 months, if you get more stuff, then take those with you to the interview. Or sometimes you get an RFE, you can take those with you. So no, you don't have to have all this at the interview. or at the time you file, but just try to gather as much of these things as possible. You guys have had me on here for 44 minutes. I'm giving you guys 15 more minutes, and then I am out. Um, Please, is it an issue if I put just 3 years home address and job information instead of 5 years? Yes, it's an issue. Why are you only putting 3 years? You need to put what they ask you for. Follow the instructions. You need to put all 5 years. If not, they're going to be like, what are you trying to hide? So G Crims again asks, how can a couple have all these documents 1 month after marriage? I hope you heard my last response. So you know you cannot have all these documents. And this is an example of what I'm saying. Don't pick and hear words without hearing the whole thing. I said these are some things that help you prove your marriage is legitimate. It doesn't mean you have to have all of this. It means that use this list to guide you in making sure that you have some things on this list. And you might not have it at the time you file, but if you develop and get more of this stuff, take them with you to the interview. So hope that's clear. Okay, let me see on YouTube. Bernie says, thank you so much. I was worried about my work permit taking long, and my lawyer said we will send another one. It won't affect it. Honestly, that's odd. Your lawyer, let me not criticize anybody, but I wouldn't do that. Basically, your work permit is not taking a long time, but I wouldn't send a new work permit when your old work permit is not expiring, and unless you're sure that your forms were selected in the right category. Cleopatra Evans says, I'm always stalking your page so I don't miss anything. I love the way your staff keeps up to date with my case. I appreciate your friend. Thank you so much. I don't even know who this is because you guys have names on Facebook that are not your real names. So sometimes when people are like, oh, you answered my question on live, or I'm one of your clients, I'm like, because you don't have your real name, so I don't even know who certain people are. But I love that. I'm glad to hear that, and I'm going to tell them that. Okay, let me answer. I know there's some questions in this question box. So, can you apply for VAWA while having replied an NOID? An NOID is a notice of intent to deny. It means that we're not giving you an RFA. We are intending to deny you unless you can prove that these things that we found are not true, or you have a rebuttal for them that's satisfactory. So you can file for VAWA if you qualify. I'm assuming your NOID is based on a marriage petition. So you can file for VAWA if you qualify, or if you can show that you're in an abusive marriage, which is maybe the source of why you need all these NOIDs. Okay. Sasha says, what if your husband's daughter has the lease in her name, but you and your husband pay rent to her and you have Zelle receipts? Is that a strong proof? Absolutely. So, if you have receipts showing that, you guys send him money via Zelle, definitely just do that. I think sometimes you can even go, if you use a computer, go online, you can actually highlight all the Zelle payments just to show that. And that's great because you can show that you're paying your husband's daughter, which is another family member that's involved in your relationship. Okay. Okay, guys, I think I'm going to take 2 more questions. I'm done. Does the length of marriage help your spouse when filing? Not really. Unless you have just everything. But I really don't want people to think, oh my gosh, I'm screwed because we've been married for a short time. Because I've had a couple. They were married for about how old was their oldest? 15. So they were married for about 16 years. Obviously, it was a slam dunk case, but because we were traveling from one country to the other because of his job. But still, sometimes when people feel like they've been married that long, they don't take the requirements of the application seriously. And I remember saying, we need a copy of the birth certificate. Or what was it that we needed something basically that he was like, well, it's a logistical nightmare to get the person is or whatever the case. I think the person was British, from the UK. And we went to the interview, and so Grant said they were going to be approved, and they were approved ultimately, but they gave us an RFE to get that thing, so it wasn't like a slam dunk case. And I think that the officer was being a bit mean about it because we had a photocopy of the stuff and he could really have used that, but he wanted the certified copy, which was ridiculous. But anywho, the point of what I'm saying is that it didn't necessarily give them a slam dunk case. Again, what they're looking for is a proof that your marriage was entered in good faith and not just because of immigration. Mr. Tusk says, Bella, that's kind of a red flag. Let me see what Bella said. Let's see what Bella said. My husband was married. He filed for his wife and kids. Then he divorced them. We got married. And now he's going to file for me. Is that a red flag? Without knowing more, it's hard to say. When did he file for them? When did he divorce her? How long were they married for? How long have you guys been married for? So without knowing all those things, it's hard to say red flag or no red flag. And again, guys, remember, red flag just means it's like a pause. Red flag doesn't mean that your case is going to be denied. Red flag means that I'm going through this petition and I am going to pause to understand this. Like when I'm looking at a client's packet, I am looking for red flags. Red flags, me looking for red flags doesn't mean the client is going to be denied, but it means that if I cannot understand this, the connection, or if I'm pausing for questioning, then this is a red flag that needs to be clarified. You understand? In your case, something that would be helpful for you, Bella, would be writing and documenting your relationship. How you guys met, how you guys fell in love, so that they know that this is something organic. I mean, USCIS, I'm sure officers themselves have been divorced before and remarried people before, so it's what it is. Okay, the very last question. Mr. Tusk, I will take your question, and that is my final question on YouTube. If filing solo for 751 based on divorce, should the evidence be from when I got my 2 years only? Yes. When he got his 2-year green card only? Yes. They don't want anything that you sent before you got your green card or evidence from before you got your green card. If you got your green card in January 2020, don't send them evidence from January 2019, March 2019, December 2019. All the evidence should be from January 2020 till August 2022. We're not in August, September 2022. Basically, they want to know that after you got your green card, you continue to do life together. So, hope you guys got that. All right, guys, I had a good time chatting with you guys. Wow, I've been on here for an hour, so I got to go. I will see you guys on Tuesday. I don't know if you guys wrote some comments, but if I save my live, there are particular topics that you want me to talk about, because someone actually suggested this, put it in the comments, so my team can gather that and, I can try and go through them and talk about them. All right, guys, have a happy Labor Day. Be safe, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.